Big play from Tyrell Shavers last week. We'll see what we get tonight. Short week and Bills Texans, and shuffling our schedule a bit. It's a football Friday. To a degree, we're talking with Chris Brown today as part of a normal football Friday. Then we'll check in on Monday. They've got travel to get back from Houston, and the other games and how they shake out, that matters quite a bit as well for the division race and all that. But tonight it's Bills and Texans from Houston, and Chris Brown joins us on the Wester Hotline. Chris, good morning. A name from long ago came up last segment. John Wendling's name came up.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
They're claiming that he jumped over a car, which I can't believe.
Help me with this, Chris. There's lore about John Wendling's vertical jump.
Yeah, he did have a good vertical leap. They would try to get him to jump over formations to block kicks on field goals and stuff. So I do remember them trying that in practice. He just couldn't get the leap cleared in time and get to the kick in time, so they never really used it much, but they were experimenting for a long time. And I seem to remember his claim to fame didn't he have the last interception in the Mark Sanchez 5 interception game that the Bills won in overtime down there? I want to say he had the last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Yes.
I don't remember how we were talking about Deion Dawkins' answer about Reggie Gilliam being the Bills' best athlete pound for pound and talking about you know, what makes an athlete, and Joe was talking about vertical jumps, and John Wendling's name came up. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure Eric Wood's got more stories on John Wendling than I do.
All right.
Well, on John Wendling, to transition here at all, the Bills tonight, Chris, play in a place that they have not won since 2006. It's kind of weird they haven't won there because it's not like they've always been the best team. But tonight you get a backup quarterback, so I think how comfortable do you feel like How comfortable are you feeling their chances tonight against a team with a great defense but a backup quarterback?
Yeah, this is a game you should win. So, the Bills have to demonstrate an ability to carry their game on the road because this is a team that's 2-2 on the road this season, and it's either a blowout or a disastrous performance. So they've got to find some balance here on the road and demonstrate, that they can play efficiently, play competently, because really they have 2 blowout wins against the Jets and the Panthers, and then they have 2 disastrous performances, against Atlanta and Miami. So they've got to set the record straight here as to what kind of road team they can be. And, if their offense can show up, it's a strength-on-strength matchup. If their offense can show up against the best defense in football, you go a long way in convincing people that you've straightened things out and you're a major contender in the AFC.
Yeah, I was saying this earlier in the week that the only other defense that really matches how good Houston might be in the AFC might be Denver. And the other thing about this, Chris, when the Bills played the Chiefs had a pretty well-respected, high-ranking defense, but they're 32nd against play action. They don't do well against play action. And so far this week, maybe it's only because it's a short week and we haven't had that much time, I haven't really heard much about what Houston's weaknesses defensively are. They just sound to be a very solid group, front to back, pretty much run, pass, whatever. It's going to be a tough day for your offense, kind of no matter what.
Yeah, they're top 5 across the board. I was talking with Dan Orlovsky on One Bills Live earlier this week because the one weakness that just didn't make any sense that they appear to have is defending their red zone. They're 28th in the league in keeping teams out of the end zone once they get down there. And I asked Dan, why do you think that is? Because that just does not compute for me. And his suspicion was because offenses have to play quickly no matter where they are on the field against this defense, especially if you're throwing the ball, because they generate pressure on the quarterback so fast that by the time an offense gets down there to the red zone where things have to happen faster, they've been playing sped up the whole game anyway. So it's just like any other area of the field, and executing down there becomes more effective. But I got to watch one more game here to get a better handle on Houston between now and kickoff. But they do an extraordinary job of marrying the rush with the coverage. And, they've got 2 high-end athletes on the outside at corner in Lassiter, and Stingley, first and second round picks. Stingley might be one of the top 3 corners in the league. And then you got 2 pass rushers that just scream off the edge. So, you gotta. I'm kind of envisioning they go with the quick release passing game that we saw in the Chiefs game a few weeks ago, because you can't have Josh just standing back there. He will get killed.
Chris Brown with us on the Western Hotline. Those corners against this receiving group, Chris, and it's being speculated again that maybe Keon Coleman will be inactive for the second game in a row. So they went off. Shavers had his big game, and Davis contributed. I guess if it is Davis and Shavers and Shakir and maybe it's Elijah Moore, how confident would you be that they could do maybe not all of what they did against Tampa, but something close?
Yeah, I don't know about Tampa. Because there were a lot more downfield throws in that game. I don't think Josh is going to have the time to let those routes develop. I think you've got to go short to intermediate passing game and go with an efficiency model tonight. I'm all for getting the backs involved again. Those are easy, high percentage throws. Let those guys make players miss in space. And I think the one matchup that the Bills can take advantage of is in the slot. Hopefully Shakir's feeling better than he did last week coming off the injury. He's a new dad. Maybe he's playing inspired football tonight. But Jalen Petrie, who's their do-everything nickel corner / safety, is out. And the guy that's going to replace him in the lineup is the guy that Isaiah McKenzie cooked a few years ago up in New England when New England kept playing man coverage. Miles Bryant is their nickel corner stepping in for Petrie, and I think that's a major matchup advantage for the Bills. I would expect them to try to exploit that tonight.
Chris Brown joining us on the Western Hotline, chatting about Bills and Texans on the short week. Defensively, Chris, one question we might have about what they could do is Shaq Thompson, who's been a full participant and been a good linebacker for the Bills this season and did not play last week. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. I wonder if there is an appetite to get him back in, if it could be matchup-based, and this could be a spot for that. Maybe not. But overall, the defense, it's got its injuries, but it's to me, it looks like it's still coming together. I know the run defense is a big headline here, but the pass defense is coming together. They're making plays in the passing game, and I'm just it's another spot here. I'm eager to see if they've got any sort of playmaking here in this matchup against the backup quarterback.
Yeah, and I would anticipate Thompson to be on the field. As we've discussed this year already, this team is playing the most base defense they've played probably in the last 7 or 8 years. Last I checked, it was up around 27 to 28% of the snaps. They know that they're a better run defense with 3 linebackers on the field in obvious run situations, and that's where Thompson comes in. And I do expect him to be on the field tonight. Woody Marks is an interesting young player out of USC, their rookie running back. He has moved into the starting lineup the last couple of weeks and is an effective player. And if he gets to the edge, you might see plays that we saw from Sean Tucker last week. So setting the edge is going to be of critical importance. And I think the other thing, too, is making plays on the ball. I mean, the Bills have done a better job of that. This is a team that had 5 takeaways in their first 6 games. They now have 8 in their last 4. I think some of the younger players are becoming more anticipatory players. Cole Bishop stands out in that area. More takeaways will help, obviously, as well. And if they can get back to the way they were taking the ball away last year, you might really have something.
Yeah, and Bishop going back to the site of, the play he's maybe remembered for last season, Chris, is the Nico Collins touchdown in Houston. And a year later, he couldn't really be playing any better, I think, going into the same place.
Yeah, and Nico Collins is going to be a major thing to look out for here. We all remember, as you mentioned, the long touchdown, where Bishop has a mental error and a bust in coverage, and he goes for like a 67-yard touchdown. But the reason Collins is of major importance tonight is he's had 36 targets in the last 3 games, and Davis Mills has thrown 33 of those. He goes to Collins whenever he can. And there's other receivers on this roster, as we know. Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins, the 2 rookies from Iowa State, have been a pleasant surprise for them. Dalton Schultz, the tight end, is third in the league in receptions among tight ends. So they have other weapons, but Davis Mills clearly prefers Nico Collins. So I'm wondering if the Bills counter that heavy attention with a follow plan, whether it's Benford, whether it's Hairston, because Davis Mills loves throwing to Nico Collins no matter the situation.
Chris Brown on the Western Hotline. Bills, Texans tonight. You can hear the game, of course, here on WGR Sports Radio 550. Chris, thanks very much. Have a good call and safe travels back. We'll talk to you on Monday.
All right, enjoy the game, guys.
Chris Brown's appearance brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com by Northtown Volkswagen, Western New York's #1 VW dealership. Shop online at northtownvw.com and by Lockport Outdoor Store, high-impact gear for hardworking men and women.